Hey guys, this is Kelly and Alicia James. So real quick, today we're going to be doing a video about the Will and Jada situation, the entanglement situation. But we're going to focus on something very specific that they talked about in the video. Because there were so many
We haven't wanted to do this video,
right.
But there were certain things that I don't know if we couldn't relate to, but getting to the core of it, like I didn't just want to talk about their marital issues
right.
and cheating. To me, that what's the meat?
Right.
You know, what was the meat of everything? So
and plus the media didn't drug it.
Yeah,
you're probably tired of hearing about it. But there was, so when we sat down and talked through it, there was something very specific that they talked about in relation to Jada's happiness and Will allowing her to find that happiness that we could relate to, that we felt that we've experienced in our marriage, and we'd love to have that conversation with you guys. So if that interests you, please stick around for this video. All right. So for this video, we wanted to talk about
I wanted to hold your hand.
Happiness, our happiness in our marriage. So there was definitely an evolution when it comes to happiness in our marriage, and wanted you to get both of our perspectives, because I really view this as a conversation. I really try to look at this as all of us, me and my wife, and then all of you guys kind of sitting down and having a conversation. So please comment. I really mean that. Please comment, good or bad, how you feel about what we're talking about.
This is why we're going to eventually have to do a live, just because a lot of these videos, most of them, we're just literally sitting here talking. And sometimes he says some things and I'm like, ooh. And sometimes I'm like, tell me more, you know? And I'm sure it's the same for him. So we're just kind of talking these things out, because I think it's just helpful for everybody, even us. So a lot of this we're doing for us. I love when we sit down and we have these conversations. We do this all the time. The reason we got this idea is because a lot of times we'll just sit around and chat. Even with Kelly Nicole, she'll be having chats with us for hours, just talking about a lot of stuff. So, but yeah, with this topic here, so we want to talk about the evolution of our love and our happiness.
Happiness is a dangerous word.
Ooh, yeah.
And this came up in the Will and Jada situation, that if you watch the whole video, first of all, I absolutely love the maturity in their marriage. Bad marriage for life. I love the entire concept. If you haven't watched the Will and Jada Red Topic Table by now, you definitely should go and take a watch.
And I mean, they haven't, listen, it's not much that I can comment in regards to the dynamic of their marriage, because really what we know about their marriage are some of the tidbits that they've shared on Jada's show, and then a lot of the rumors. So with them having an open marriage, things like that, I don't relate to that. That's not something that I'm interested in. But what I did respect in regards to the conversation that they had to have in front of the world, which I can't imagine, about what happened. I like how they tried to keep it, I thought it was a mature conversation, right? You know, be it a difficult conversation, I thought it was mature. And I like that they tried to keep it as light as possible, because it sounds like they've already had their arguments and fights and stuff about it. But this came up about a year or two after they've already kind of moved forward. So I do respect that, you know, they try to not backspace in their relationship and marriage and be angry over again, which you can be when something like this happened. And they kept it as light as possible with kind of sharing some of the things that they went through.
Right. So me and my wife were both able to identify moments in our marriage where we went through the I'm not happy phase. Right. And what connected in the video with Will and Jada was when Will was like, and I don't know who said what, but the ultimate answer was she had to find out how to be happy within herself, right? So for me, being married, I think it's very easy to lose yourself. And if you guys from our other videos, you may have found out that I'm the giver in the relationship, right? So being the giver, everything, TV, what we eat, what we do is about Queen James over here, right? So there did get a point where I'm like, okay, it's different to be a giver when you're single, but when you're married and your entire life, from the time you get up to the time you go to bed, is 100% about somebody else, you sometimes will start to get feelings about, well, what about me? Like, what makes me happy? And I never really thought about it a whole lot. But I did have a phase where that became something that was very important to me. Alicia, during this time, which we've talked about in other videos, was going through her own evolution of figuring out, and I'll let her share because she has her own phase. And they were actually at different times. But during my phase of unhappiness, so to speak, my wife was really just kind of dealing with certain things of how to connect with me on an intimate level, and there were some other things going on, but I was internalizing all of that, right? Like I was internalizing she rejected me for having sex. I was internalizing the fact that I'm sitting here watching Housewives of whatever sport, and I don't want to watch this stuff, but this was all just internal stuff for me. And I really didn't start to get it until I was able to figure out, like, I have to separate myself from my wife and figure out what I want and what makes me happy before I can have happiness in our marriage. And I've heard a lot of people say that over the years. Like I've heard advice like, you got to be happy before you can make somebody else happy. But you can hear it a million times until you experience it. It doesn't really connect. So I had to figure out, like, what do you love to do? I didn't even discover I loved mixed martial arts until this phase. I'm like, I like watching fights. I want to see.
Like, well, I want to watch it too. So it wasn't that I love that because it wasn't that, and it probably at one point before you realized it, you probably thought I was just stopping you from doing everything. She just took over my life.
Yeah.
But I was so willing to do the things that you wanted to do, but you just had to, first of all, understand what made you happy and then be able to express that. And then I'm all for jumping on the train with you.
Right.
I want to watch some UFC too all day.
And once I was able to identify all these things that I could change about me to make me happy, like what I watched and what I ate, and accepting my nerdiness, because I love all of these nerd topics or whatever. When I was able to kind of accept those things, I felt a transition in our marriage.
And I like them.
You like them too, right? So I think the point in Will and Jada singing even with us was like, for me, at least from my perspective, and I'll definitely want Alicia to go into hers, but from my perspective is when I was able to find my own happiness, not anything to do with my wife, but just my own happiness of things that made me happy that she didn't have to directly impact, that's when my marriage began to transform. But little did I know there was another phase coming later in our marriage, and that was her phase. So you want to talk about
I can't even really explain my phase. I'm thinking maybe it had a lot to do with just me, the immaturity, and that we did get married pretty young.
Right.
And which is why people sometimes warn against it.
Right. But
then there's no balance in that. Oh, don't get married at this age because you want to do A, B, C, D. But then you do A, B, C, D, and before you looking around, it's like you had no plan in regards to that transition into, creating a family. But anyways, so I don't know. I think I was just, I don't know what was going on with me, but I just had this thing about I was not happy with whatever we were doing wherever we were at that time in life. I guess I had some other vision of where I would be, what I would be doing, and what I would have. And I wasn't happy with some of the things that I was doing and that I had accomplished. I don't think that's abnormal.
Right.
But I think the thing is that it was making me angry. It was making me feel
use the word resentful sometimes. Yes.
Get out.
Which was a very strong word.
That I wanted to use. Yes, I think I was feeling resentful. I was a young wife, young mother, and I was still growing up, to be honest. I was still growing up. We were growing together. We were still learning things about each other, and it was just that journey to 30.
Right.
You thought you knew everything and realized you knew nothing, because at 25, everybody, when I'm 25, I know. No, there's different transitions that you make. 18, 21, 25, 30, 35. I mean, there's just so many transitions, but I just remember being really, like you said, resentful about it. And I think because you had your own battle, you were able to kind of guide me through it.
Right.
And it forced me to really start processing about what does happiness mean? Because you had to call me out a few times, like, what do you mean you're not happy? Like, who is pushing this button for you? Who pushes the happy button for you? Who's pulling that lever so that you are happy?
Right.
How do you make that happen?
I think I do, and I don't know. I hope I'm not interrupting your flow, but
you're okay.
I think one distinction that was really important for me is I resolved in the fact is if there's anything that I need in order to be happy, then I'm looking at it the wrong way. So, for example, if I need this new iPhone in order to be happy, then if I need this new house, then I'm going to be happy. Or when and what made me really get it is there was a gentleman, I won't mention his name out of respect for his family, but there was a gentleman that had committed suicide in the music industry. And it really changed me because I was like, how is it that somebody who had everything, millions of dollars, could still be depressed and sad? I was like, how is that even possible? And when I thought about it is, and I don't know his situation, but I've seen this before. If you don't have things that make you happy internally without anything material, without anything that anybody else is doing for you, that wakes you up in the morning and you're just excited about existing, or purpose. Like some people talk about purpose. Purpose has nothing to do with the things that I have. Purpose is about, this is why I'm here. This is what I'm here to do. If you don't have that thing that motivates you on an daily basis and makes you happy and excited, then there is not enough money in the world. I'm telling you, I'm not a millionaire, but I'm telling you, more money that I get, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna really be happy when I make this amount of money. And we get there and we've been there. We're like, okay, we've been there. When we move here, we gonna be, that's it. Oh man, we made it. When our daughter leave the house, she in there. We're just kidding, honey. We're just kidding.
Just kidding, Kelly.
But true. Those are the things I'm talking about. Anytime it's something, if I just get this, I'm gonna be happy.
That's it.
You should be able to wake up every day like, oh my God, I am so happy because I am alive and I have a beautiful family, and look at all of these things that I've already accomplished, and I have
And once I feel like we got to that place, things happen beyond what we even asked for.
Yeah.
So I feel like getting to that place, like, you know what? I don't need.
No. And now we got the money to take the trips and do we we do it when we want to.
Can we just go in the backyard like back then?
Yeah, but because our happiness, we like playing Monopoly, we having a blast with an $11 game, $3 cards. We just like. You would have thought we was on the beach, and we will go to the beach and we will do those things, but they don't define our happiness, if that makes sense. So I don't want to get too far off, but it's like,
no, I get that.
I just wanted to give that analogy.
I get that. And I'm still like processing it. I'm like, I think it came a lot from my childhood and maybe like going without. I think that's what happens to a lot of people. Like when you see your parents struggle and you didn't have, and some people did have, and you just develop this whole mind frame about, when I get older, I'm about to have it all. And that's, I'm going to be so much happier than I was when I was a child. So I think I was probably going through that also. But I think that you did help me. You had to get me together a couple of times, and it made me process. You did that a lot through our marriage. And but you've always been the one, you've been a great leader, and you've always been the one you've guided me through this process, you know? And I had to kind of check myself and be like, you're right. Like, what are you doing? What are you waiting on? I'm gonna share with you the things that you helped guide me through. Because I know the narrative of our marriage, for those of you guys who've been watching, is that I've been such a force in her life. You helped me guide through, particularly in this conversation, was that it was okay to enjoy the fruits of my labor. You know, because I'm the guy, like, we paid off all of her student debt. You know, we were getting at it. We paying off everything. And she like, but can we do something? Like,
And you know, and I think there's that's great that because I was like, baby, we debt free. She's like, okay, great. And not that she wasn't excited about that.
I'm like, if you work that hard, I do think there should be a balance.
Right.
Like, you know, because what is that for?
What are you doing it for?
You know, you saving all this money, you got this, and ooh, you're going to die.
Right.
You're going to die rich.
Right.
Where the money's going? You know, where's the money going?
So you definitely helped, you know, you definitely, even though that was something that you were moving away from, there was an aspect of it that I wanted you to keep because it helped me to like, hey, while you're doing all this, make sure that you're enjoying life, you know. And then you also helped me understand the things about my own emotions, like how I deal with certain things, you know what I'm saying? Because being the person that, you know, always has to be the leader, always have, you know, you never really get an opportunity for somebody to say, hey, you know, I didn't really like the way you handled that, you know, with your emotions. And you really helped me with that. So
I like how you looked at me to give me my moment to be like,
So anyway,
thank you. Sorry, we got mushy.
So just to kind of sum it up, you know, if you're going through, and this is really, you know,
especially during this time right now,
I try to speak to that one person every time we do a video. When I remember to do it, I feel good about the purpose of us doing the video. It's not for a million views, not for anything. It's really to help change the life of anybody that can benefit from it. So for that one person who may be feeling unhappy, depending on your situation, but I encourage you to kind of evaluate, first of all, your own happiness and really take a deep dive there. And it might be that after you do that evaluation that, yeah, it is your marriage and you might need to walk away. But if you don't take the time to do that evaluation, it's difficult to make those type of decisions. So, and I think that's what happened with Will and Jada. You know, she was able to get away from it, and she went back. You know, after all of that, she was able to realize, you know what? This was me the entire time. This had nothing to do with Will. This was me and what I needed to deal with. So I just encourage you guys to evaluate, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear how you guys feel about this topic. So please take a moment just to make a brief comment to let us know. Any last words, anything else you wanted to?
No, I think you pretty much wrapped that up.
All right. Well, guys, we'd love to hear from you. See you on the next video.